Hello everyone, my name is Moji. You're watching a Bitcoin Bubble News channel. Anyway, let's take a step back for a second because that's a lot. So let me take a step back and say this. That's right. Everyone says they knew when it happens. When Bernie Madoff went bankrupt in 2008, James, I can't tell you how many times people told me I knew he was a fraud. I'm sorry, I didn't know he was a crook. I didn't have any cash on me. Before he heard about central bank digital currencies during his 10-day stay at the White House, Antony Scaramucci, founder of Skybridge Capital, an alternative asset manager and investment advisor, and former director of communications for the White House, thought the idea of a digital currency was silly. He missed several chances to buy the leading digital asset. Antony has grown in the digital assets business since September 20th, 2012, even though he has had hurdles. Antony sold 30% of Skybridge Capital shares to Sam Bankman. This freed Bankman, who was recently found guilty of theft and conspiracy and founded the cryptocurrency exchange FTX. Antony spent almost all of 2023 cleaning up the mess. But now that SBF and FTX are over, the 60-year-old American financier and his investment business are looking forward to the future of the cryptocurrency industry. Antony wants the top coin to have a market value equal to or greater than gold's $8 trillion, and he thinks that time is closer than anyone thinks before this cycle ends. Please watch the whole movie, hit the like button, and tell your friends about it. Sign up for the channel to see more movies like this. To put it another way, let's not lie to each other and tell the truth. I think that's where, I write this in the book, and tell my kids this: if you are honest, James, you will always have chances. Also, the White House can fire you if you're nice to people. When you let Sam Bankman invest in your business, you can make a mistake and still get through it. Friends will help you out. He was good. He put it to Mike Novogratz. His call came from a third party and I didn't ask for it. Someone else called me and said, "Hey, there's a guy named Sam Bankman. Are you free? Would you like to talk?" It was fine with me, I said. He agreed, saying, "Yes, it must be 9 p.m. on blah blah day." I asked, "Why at 9 p.m. he's in Hong Kong though?" It was fine with me, I said. He had just agreed to give the Miami Stadium its name after the business. I replied, "Okay, this is a new cryptocurrency exchange. It had been a while since I invested in Bitcoin. Soon we'll talk about Bitcoin." But when I talked to Sam on the phone, he was this young man who talked quickly and awkwardly, but seemed absolutely bright. It was clear to me what he was doing. He wanted to give money to the SALT meeting. He planned to visit New York and meet people who worked in a field that was a mix of traditional banking and DeFi. I told him it was okay and took the money. Also, he paid me right away. You know that quick pay makes quick friends when you work on Wall Street. So I thought, okay, this guy looks like he's real. He went to the meeting. He had a great time. After that, he asked me if he could pay for more conferences. He made a deal with us, and then he invited me. And this was a turning point for me, even though it might not make me look good or something. I'm going to be honest. He asked me to join a charity event at the FTX venue that his aunt, who is 84 years old, was planning. They had given $10 million in scholarships to some of the worst public high schools in the Miami area because she seemed really nice. And we were going to act out a Shark Tank for these teenagers. There was also Senator Cory Booker and Maxine Waters, whose name I think it is. We had Kevin O'Leary and me, and we're going to be their fake judges. There were the parents there. Sam was there. I thought this family was like a great Jewish family where the kid had grown up in the suburbs but on the Stanford campus. I bought hook, line, and sinker into Sam Bankman-Fried. You can think less of me for that, but I can't change the fact that it happened. Yes, James, I did learn something from it. That is a crime like the Madoff crime or the Sam Bankman-Fried crime. There are 50 different systems in place at Skybridge that make sure crime can't happen. This idea came from a small group of people. I have a blue chip outside administrator and an outside account. Pershing is in charge of the funds, and there are 3 people in charge, 1 in compliance and 1 on the legal team. That's why, no matter how many people look at something, someone will always raise their hand and say, "Hey, I'm sorry, this doesn't work for me. Financial crimes are made by a small group of people who work together." He worked on this with 4 other people, and they all pleaded guilty. I missed it. So well did they hide what they were doing between what they showed you as part of their due diligence and what they were actually doing. Just in case you forgot, it wasn't just me. It was 25 of the world's biggest venture investors and sovereign wealth funds in charge. Investors. Antony also talked about spot Bitcoin ETFs and how important they are for Bitcoin in the conversation. He said Wall Street is a machine for selling, and it's selling Bitcoin right now. Antony recently talked to CNBC and talked about how important spot Bitcoin ETFs are. He also said that institutions are finally starting to use Bitcoin. He said, "I think the adoption by institutions is taking place right now. For instance, the state of Wisconsin said it would start using Bitcoin, and it's likely that other pension funds will do the same." Also, Bitcoin has now been approved by the government, which for many of these big organizations was the last step. It was the founder of Sky Capital who was talking about the 13F filings with the SEC for the first quarter. These showed that 414 organizations owned shares that were in the black. This is great, eShares Bitcoin Trust. Institutional financial managers who are in charge of assets worth more than $100 million must file these forms. The papers show that the investment board for the U.S. state of Wisconsin has the 6th most shares in IBIT and has put about $99 million into the trust. Antony told CNBC that spot Bitcoin ETFs would be a part of institutional investors' long-term tactical asset allocation plan. This is why a lot of smart institutions are joining the crowd. James, one thing about crypto is that it's always there. This means that the market is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Whenever I get a statement from my brokerage at the end of the month, which was yesterday, it tells me what I own and what the prices were at 4 p.m. They mail it to me or send it to me online, and the price is as of 4 p.m. today. When you get that bill from Sam in the crypto world, it's priced at midnight on the last day of the month. Sam, on the other hand, made it look like your money was in your account for 10 seconds. The statement was written for you. Then, for the next 365 minutes or 23 hours and 59 minutes, it was in his account. They made it look like it was back in your account at midnight. When you opened your app, you saw that you had money in your account, but it wasn't there. He also did something called paper Bitcoin, and it wasn't just to bore people. In any case, what is paper Bitcoin? Let's say James wants to get Bitcoin. He calls me. I'm the agent. I'm writing a book about Bitcoin right now, which means I don't buy Bitcoin for you, James. I make it look like it's in your account electronically. I did, however, take the money you gave me, which was worth $2 billion. I put it in my own account, so now I'm betting against the price of Bitcoin going down. Why do you think you have Bitcoin? It has never been possible to buy Bitcoin. That's Bitcoin on paper. What he did was worth $2 billion. Bitcoin on paper. Are you ready for that turn of luck? He tried to catch up, but he failed. He was too far behind to catch up. So he also had an enemy in Chen-Pao Zhao, CZ, who was the CEO of Binance and pushed him around. He had a lot of FTT tokens, so he sold them and gave Sam the money when the market was low. Because of this, a number of things take place. But wait, there's a really bad story. What do the lessons teach? I just talked about one of them. That's the way a financial crime is done. It's very important to learn lesson number 2. There is a problem. Be honest. Okay, I went live. Picture the hero to goat moving. On September 7th, I gave Sam a piece of my business. It made me feel great to think that I would be working with the Mark Zuckerberg of crypto. The 8th of November, I was back on TV. It went from being a hero to nothing. But I wasn't working with the next Mark Zuckerberg. I was working with the next Bernie Madoff. There were also 19B4 filings for spot Ethereum exchange-traded funds that were recently accepted by the SEC. This has made people who trade in cryptocurrencies try to guess what will happen next. A lot of people believe that the SEC will finally allow a lot more spot ETFs that are based on